gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is me, Dumbledore 100 aka Experto, also known as Dom, and I'm here again for another entry into my progress thread for Game Design 2B, another 2-week special since I forgot last week, so this week we will be covering weeks 8 and 9. Booyah! So, starting things off, week 8, let's have a read of what my lovely book has to say to remind me about what we did in week 8. So at the end of week 8, we were going through and redoing the whole script that we had for our animation, going a complete look over it, sorting out timing, sound effects, and the animations, and listing out the animations that we will have to have for the sake of the intro, which is cool. For character models, the Medusa is rigged, but there were some slight problems with the riggings to sort out for week 9. Traps were done and unwrapped, which was awesome. The Ossiball mechanics, the attacking, well, these aren't really Ossiball's mechanics, but these are really Ossiball's animations. I just had written down wrong. But Ossiball's animations in game, we now have begun starting on Ossiball attacking with like the sword and fireballs stuff. And on top of that, have also finished frameworking, which is awesome. So now we actually have a game which is completely frameworked. Nice. Textures are progressing, and the plan was to get them done by the time we hit week 9, which pretty much was completed. But we'll get onto that later. Mechanics, we had the fireball mechanics, sword mechanics, and HUD mechanics to be worked on for now. Weapons were done, and the unwraps were going to begin as of this week. The sound effects and the music, a few voiceover recordings that are needed necessarily, just for like small bits that we kind of missed out in our recording session for voice recording. We missed out, so we need to just maybe film a couple of odd audio clips just to fill in the gaps, and as well as that, making a lava sound effect, because of course we have lava in our level, so why not have a sound that fits in with lava? Makes complete sense. So now we have cell shading on textures, for just to see how they obviously look, because we want cell shading on our textures and we want to make that work. So now whenever we render something out, we want to have it with and without cell shading, just to see how it looks, which I'll be more than certain to work on. There were now checking on the asset list. We were also checking on the asset list a while back as well, having a look through stuff on the assets that we have done, and just small bits on the assets that we might not have done, and to clarify whether we have or haven't. So we ended up finding out that everything is pretty much done and ready to be unwrapped, or were in the process of being unwrapped, so it's not too bad at all. The Casra rig went a little bit messy this week. Trying to do the rig, getting it all precise, and then all of a sudden it went. So the Casra will be redone and hopefully rigged up by week 9. We're thinking that we might necessarily need more people working on the code, depending on how well we're doing at that moment in time. Because we were thinking that we might not necessarily get all the code that we need done by 2 people, so we might have to eventually branch out and get a few more people in on coding, so that we can get all the code done and make it look all shiny and awesome. So yeah, for now we're going to keep on going for what we can do. When push comes to shove, we will jump in there for what we can do when it comes to code. Possibilities of making a cutscene before entering the boss area, or like upon entering the boss area but before fighting the boss, having a little cutscene, kismet scene, where the camera pans out, it shows you the boss turns around, does a scary and intimidating animation, fight begins. So we could potentially have something like that being sorted out for our final project, which is all awesome and good, which I'm liking. As well as that, we had this week 4 characters that were left to be rigged. We had we just had a few more attack animations to sort out for Ossibor. Ollie was going to be working on the upgrade system to see how that was going. Me and Danny obviously still working on textures, as we do. Dave was going to have a work on Kazra's rig again, as well as work on some podiums. Carl was going to start texturing and unwrapping weapons, which is all good in the hood. And Nick was obviously going to do what Nick does best and get some sound effects done. Awesome. So that was week 8. Now, because this is a 2-week special, I'll also be covering week 9. So, moving straight on to week 9. 1 week later, we had third-person camera issues. We've been following all these different tutorials as to how to set up third-person camera, and we've been having messes here, there and everywhere. So, hopefully we'll be able to get some assistance on that and be able to sort that out, which is all good in the hood. The construction of the world itself, as in the entire level, is going quite well, but what's occurring at the moment is we've only used the natural assets and haven't started using the man-made assets. So now we're gonna start, or Alex is gonna start implementing some of the man-made assets as well as continuing to add the natural assets in, so that they both combine, they both correlate and satisfy each other in a similar way, which is always good with it. Nice. Just having a look at the rest of this. The characters are all pretty much done now, but for the sake of rigging and animating, Ed said that it would be good to have the weapons in the scene for resizing and for the sake of animating the character with their weapon. So, like, the draw, for example, has to hold it dual-handed and have both hands firmly grasping onto the handle, for example, onto the shaft, if you will. So, yeah, it would be a good idea to get those weapons into the scene so that when they start animating the AI themselves, you can swing your weapons with it, you're just there, and it's just easier to work with if you just have it in the scene whilst you're rigging everything up and starting to animate stuff. So, you know it makes sense. You know it makes sense. We were having a look as to what other people needed to be rigged. Pretty much most of the major characters have to be rigged up now, but we're also rigging up the Blight Monster, because obviously the Blight Monster needs to have an animation to it as well, because it fights just without weapons. So we're going to be working on that as well. We're going to be splitting up who does what scene when it comes to doing the animation now. We've clarified that we can do the animation quite fast if we're given, like for example, I do 2 scenes, another person do 2 scenes, another person do 2 scenes, and we all do 2 scenes and render them all out and have it like that, so that we have all the files and we have all the bits of animation, so that we can then sync them up with all the audio that we got, with the music, sound effects, voice acting, walla boom. So that's all good. I really like that idea. That was all really cool. Having a look at what else is here. Apart from that, not much else was discussed during the meeting. It was quite a mellow one and just double checking how everything's going and checking on stuff. But one thing that we did do is make a plan over Easter, because now we have 3 weeks off. We have a plan of where we want to be over the Easter holidays, as well as sorting out that every Friday we will still be meeting up on Facebook to check how we're doing with work, if we need assistance with it, do we have any issues that need to be brought up, stuff like that. And of course I'll still be doing these progress thread entries if I can, so that's all good. And so the stuff we're going to be doing over Easter, we're going to have weapons all unwrapped, as well as animations of weaponry and characters to hopefully get those done. Ollie's going to be working on the AI and the camera to hopefully get those sorted out. And Steve's going to be working on our wiki to make sure that the wiki stays up to date with all our changes and how everything's progressing as well. So that's all good. We want basically the core elements of the world, not necessarily the beauty assets, but the core elements of the world that are going to be interactable to be at least 50 to 75% complete by the time Easter is over. So we need some hefty construction being done basically. Ossible's animations all done, because as long as we get our main characters' animations done, that's brilliant. Script writing, we want the script basically finished, so we're going to be overlooking the script over the summer, reworking it and making sure that it's 100% okay and done, so that we can get all the sound effects, all the voices, all the animations and everything synced up fully to what we want it to be, and get it all timed appropriately so that it can be hopefully shorter than what our original concept for the animatic was, which it should be anyway. It's looking really quite short and straight to the point this time round, so I'm really looking forward to getting that sorted out. And as well as that, me and Danny have been given the job to texture assets as usual, but we mainly want to texture major assets. As long as we can get the major assets done over Easter, it's all good in the hood. If we can as well, potentially half of the beauty assets could be done. But our biggest priority right now is to get the core assets done, and then when it comes to it, getting the beauty assets done. Because if we don't have the core assets done, obviously the player is just going to play the game thinking, why does everything look bland? Why does it look rubbish? So it makes complete sense. I completely understand why that's happening. And, ladies and gentlemen, my book is closed. And that's the end of that. That is the 2-week special covering week 8 and 9 for Games Design 2B. I hope you've been well informed. And that's the end of that one. I'll be sure to try and keep doing these videos for the sake of the Easter holidays. If by any chance I can't, they will still be in text form in the Games Design 2B forum, so no problems there. But apart from all that, it's been good doing this yet again. Hope you've been well informed. Goodbye fellow progressors, goodbye, and I'll be seeing you guys at next week's meeting.